Hey there and welcome to another reading on Vosk, aka Voice Down Stories by Kwame. My name is Kwame and I'm reading another piece from my friend, the amazing writer Kenny Ribeiro. Check out her blog at kennykojo.com, linked in the description below. And this is part 1 of the story, Call Me Kwesi. Get your headphones or earphones, get comfortable, and enjoy. Please wait, Denise called out just before the doors of the elevator closed. She slid in just in time, mumbling her thanks to the man who kept the door open. "Fifth floor, right?" he asked, and for the first time since she got in, she looked up at his face. It was one of the relatively new employees. He was in the finance department. "Yes, please, 5th floor." She smiled gratefully. The elevator hummed quietly as they went up. He was older, probably in his late 40s. He had laugh lines around his eyes, and he was carrying a copy of Count of Monte Cristo on top of his newspaper. His hair was slightly curly, and he was beginning to grey around his temples. She could tell from his monogrammed shirt and the smell of his perfume that he knew how to take care of himself. It was when he turned slightly that she noticed that he was clean-shaven and had manicured nails. He looked abruptly from staring at his BlackBerry screen, almost like he could feel her staring, and said, "I'm getting off on this floor. Have a nice day, Denise." When her lips parted in shock, he smiled and said, "I make it my business to know the name of every beautiful girl in this building." Before she could react, he was gone, leaving the lingering smell of his perfume behind. "Why are my palms sweaty? And why is my heart racing? He's not even my type. I mean, what kind of guy has manicured nails?" she asked herself as the doors opened on the 5th floor. The cool air from the central air conditioning welcomed her immediately she stepped out of the elevator. Ali, the carpenter, was right in front of her. She smiled and waved. She had learned very early in her career to befriend the support staff. It made life easier for you. The drivers, cleaners, secretaries, and the errand boys, they were all useful allies. Take Jacinta, the executive assistant for project management, for instance. She was loud, aggressive, and wore too much perfume. But it took just a "how are the kids doing" to win her over. She had even covered up for Denise once, when she missed her project submission deadline. Denise made it to her desk just before Isaba walked in, prim and proper, holier than thou Isaba. She came to work every day at 7:45, always wore a white long-sleeve shirt, a brown skirt, and dark brown pumps. She took a 5-minute bathroom break at 9:50 every day. Yes, every single day. She always ate the same thing for breakfast at 7:50. 2 slices of brown bread with a cup full of oats, and that was it for the day. You could set your watch by her. She always had her files and pens arranged alphabetically, and she never left her desk to chat with the others. She was the last person to ask to cover up for you if you were late. She would give you an entire sermon about principles and commitment to work. She was a little annoying, but she was much better than Aquile. It is said that in every workplace, there are 2 bosses, the official one and the unofficial one. The unofficial boss was the one who could make and unmake you effortlessly because she had lips close to the ears of the official boss. Aquile was the unofficial boss and Denise's sworn enemy. There was no telling what had brought about the bad blood, and Denise had to work extra hard to make sure she didn't give her reason to complain. Rumor had it that some boy must have picked Denise over Aquile some time back, and Aquile still held a grudge. A few weeks ago, she had combed the entire floor looking for a ruler, with no success. Rather than ask Denise for a ruler, she went all the way to the supplies office on the 2nd floor. Denise liked her office. It was a nice building with an interesting mix of people. Grace walked in, sweating profusely. Denise did not need to turn her head to see that Isaba was probably wrinkling her nose in disgust. Grace always came in late and spent the first 2 hours chatting on the phone with God knows who, ate a very heavy meal at about 11 a.m. and always had a nap immediately afterwards. Her excuse? "It is an irritis, so it's not my fault. Africans are programmed to sleep after a heavy meal." On a day when she had particularly enjoyed her meal, the sleep would be interspersed with quiet grunts and snoring. Somehow, Everyone loved Grace because she remembered everyone's birthdays and genuinely celebrated people's successes. True to her nature, Grace unveiled a bowl full of ampesi and contemporary stew shortly after getting seated. The day was full of meetings, emails to reply, and phone calls to return, but Denise found her mind wandering back to the mystery man who got off on the third floor. She had never been an older man person, but she couldn't stop thinking about him and how flattered she was when he said that she was beautiful. She had replayed the elevator scene in her head no less than 15 times. It felt like betrayal to Kojo. They were engaged to be married in December. Kojo had always been her friend, dependable, focused, a gentleman, but she had never felt this much excitement around him. Her phone rang. Her boss wanted to see her in his office. She did not expect to see Mystery Guy. It almost felt like a movie scene. Her face must have betrayed her when her eyes met his. Denise, I'd like you to meet Mr. Ahin. You'll be assisting him with the Hillsburn Culture Project. We have met, haven't we, Denise? His eyes twinkled almost as if they were sharing a secret. Yes, we have. I look forward to working with you, Mr. Ahin. Her lips curled into a smile without her permission. Please, call me Kwesi. I insist. Very well. The weeks flew by and Kwesi and Denise became closer. She was drawn to him in a way she didn't understand. He was witty and well-read. They spent afternoons analyzing books over lunch. They had inside jokes and signals. They could have entire conversations with just their eyes without uttering a word. She had learned that he was divorced and had 2 children, one 16 and the other 12. It was like a well-rehearsed dance. They were dancing to the music, but they were careful to avoid stepping on each other's toes. They never talked about the elephant in the room, that they were entertaining feelings for each other. They just avoided the topic and enjoyed each other's company. Denise thought it was a well-kept secret until the day Jonathan made a joke about it. Jonathan was a blunt guy who made inappropriate jokes about everything and said the things that everybody else was afraid to say. He was the only one who could openly laugh at Grace for snoring or Jacinta for being too aggressive. Denise, you don't look for me these days. I understand. I'm not 56 years old with nice perfume and great sense of humor. Sweetie, you need to take a step back or office relationship can get messy. She was thankful when her phone rang and used that as a diversion. Later that evening, she sat on her bed thinking through the whole thing. By morning, she already knew what she had to do. She avoided Kwesi all day, afraid that he might read her eyes. At lunchtime, she locked herself in one of the bathroom stalls and began to type her essay. Kwesi, the last 2 months have been amazing. I've enjoyed spending time with you and learning from you, but I can't do this anymore. It's not fair to Kojo. He's a great guy and doesn't deserve this. I've given him my word to marry him, and until I close that door, I can't do this with you. I'm afraid that one day things will become awkward between you and I would hate that. And that is why I'm ending this now. I will miss you to bits, but I need to do the right thing. She took a deep breath and pressed the send button. 10 minutes passed. There was no reply. She could hear him laughing in the hallway. Why hasn't he replied? Is he ignoring me already? Maybe he hasn't seen the messages, she thought to herself. Her phone buzzed. It startled her so much that she almost dropped it on the floor. Her stomach lurched when she saw what was on her phone screen. Denise, what's going on? Who's Kwesi? She has sent the message to the wrong man.